In the pure, optimal, unified input approach, pure means focusing exclusively on providing optimal input. The core idea is that exposure to an optimal language input environment naturally leads to language acquisition, allowing students to understand and express themselves effortlessly. Just as babies grow teeth naturally by being nourished with milk and baby food, language acquisition occurs naturally with sufficient optimal language input. Traditional classroom activities like repetition and error correction, intended to accelerate fluency and accuracy in speaking and writing, have often hindered our goals. Shifting the focus to prioritize input will significantly enhance the language acquisition process. All my experiments suggest that excluding traditional language learning practices is more beneficial. The results indicated that language acquisition is more efficient when input is the primary focus. We developed story listening and guided self-selected reading to provide optimal input in these experiments as independent variables and have compared the effect of true input to eclectic methods. To test the input theory, it was necessary to develop these methods to provide optimal input in experiments. By isolating input as the independent variable and comparing it to eclectic methods, we could more accurately assess the effectiveness of input alone versus input combined with form-focused instruction. Through these trials, we discovered that the input-only method is twice as effective as eclectic methods that include traditional conscious learning activities. Experiments have demonstrated that it is better without such activities in anxiety-provoking situations. One example is that individuals receiving optimal input can improve their TOEIC or TOEFL scores twice as fast using only story listening and guided self-selected reading, compared to those studying specifically for the TOEIC or TOEFL tests. Another example, in an extensive reading program focused on English composition, the subjects who wrote short reports in Japanese for each book they read showed similar improvements in fluency and accuracy in their English writing in half the time compared to the subjects who wrote summaries in English and received corrective feedback. The 7 traditional language learning practices that hinder natural, efficient language acquisition. Number 1, using grammar-based and vocabulary-restricted textbooks. Such textbooks focus on memorization for tests rather than true language acquisition. Number 2, forced output activities. Requiring students to speak or write in English before they are ready is counterproductive. True speaking skills develop from listening competence, and true writing skills develop from reading competence. Number 3, error correction. Correcting errors which students are not ready to understand can make learning stressful and demotivating. Number 4, rote memorization. Memorizing for tests leads to quick forgetting. Number 5, drilling to reinforce learned items. Drilling without understanding does not lead to lasting memory unless the input is just above the student's current competence level. Number 6, constant surveillance followed by unfair evaluation. Constant monitoring and unfair evaluation adds stress. Number 7, homework to reinforce forced learned items. Homework that reinforces forced learning feels like a burden to students. If they understand the material, the drilling is redundant and a waste of time. If they don't understand it, the homework is equally ineffective, as it will not help them grasp the concepts. We can create a more efficient natural language acquisition environment by shifting our focus to prioritize pure, optimal, unified input.